I'll call the meeting to order at 7:06. Sorry about that. Took a little extra time coming up the road. We have three items on the agenda tonight. The first is the comprehensive permit known as Island Brook LLC, 0 East Main Street. Mr. Itani is here. Do we have others with you? Online? Okay. Frank Gallagher, you're there?
You're muted, Frank.
Could you unmute the mic, Frank?
Oh, he is muted.
Okay,
There you go. Thank you.
all right.
And do I see town council?
Hello, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Good evening. And do we have a peer review representative with us?
No, Mr. Dirk could not, Jeffrey could not make it.
Okay. So I'm going to ask Mr. Itani or Mr. Gallagher to bring us up to date. We met back in January on this hearing and heard from peer review then. I know we heard from the fire department that they were okay with the street plans. That was soon after the meeting, right around February 1st. I don't have the exact date in front of me. Mr. Gallagher, have the street layouts changed since that time at all?
No,
Okay. So that was one question we had and wanted answered by the fire department. Police and fire. Mr. Gallagher or Mr. Itani, Frank, where are we then for the rest of what had to be filled in? If I can ask you that.
well, we're complete. We've, made the revisions that Jeff Walsh asked for in his review, and he acknowledged that. And then when we last met with the board, the only issue that came up was since we've revised our roadway to now have a cul-de-sac at the very end, the board members asked that we have the fire department look at that cul-de-sac and get some feedback from them as to whether it was sufficient for the turnaround of emergency vehicles. And that we addressed shortly after the last time we met. We spoke to the assistant chief, and I sent him the plans, and he and I discussed them, and he finally sent back an email that said that as far as he was concerned, they were more than sufficient for the turnaround of his emergency vehicles. So
And that's what I was referring, sorry.
that was the last issue that we needed to address.
And thank you. And that's what I was referring to a moment ago. I think there was a follow-up email from the fire department.
Yes.
To us, sent to us or sent to you and us around
Yes.
February 1st or so.
Yes.
Members, do we have other issues that were on the table, or was that an accurate summary?
That was accurate as far as I remember.
And I think it was accurate as well. So, Mr. Itani, are we, in your view, done? And I'm gonna, he says that this has been, I won't say when it was first filed for, but this has been back and forth in the court, DEP, and all kinds of issues that have been dealt with successfully. And appreciate the applicant's patience and the public's patience on this, but this has been going on for years.
You're gonna need a hug.
No, well, maybe Brian, Mr. Carmichael will do that, but.
I'll do it. Oh, fine.
All right. May I ask town council, what we do next procedurally if we are satisfied that the issues we had raised with peer review through peer review engineering, have been dealt with?
So you would close the hearing on the substantial modification, and then you have 40 days to issue a decision. Mr. Chairman, if I may, because I'm not sure, I think I might have missed a meeting, but was just wondering, is the plan still to do this in two phases, or will they be doing this in one phase?
It is still two phases. It's
Okay.
still two. Mr. Gallagher can address any specific questions. We had gone through at our January meeting issues, including the phasing and the plans, and Mr. Gallagher just summarized, we think accurately, that the last issue we had asked to check on was the cul-de-sac resulting from the phasing and whether that was okay with the fire department. And that's what we heard back from between these two meetings.
Okay,
So-
and is there any timing on the phasing? Meaning, does the board want to see phase two done a certain amount of time after phase one is done? Or alternatively, I guess I should start with, is Mr. Itani proposing that phase two start a certain time after phase one is complete?
We brought that up and discussed. Where were we, Mr. Itani, on that, if you can refresh our recollection?
We're gonna start the infrastructure for phase one and get the roads going. Once that's done, we're gonna continue to phase two. So we're not gonna stop at phase one. The plan is to finish phase one, the infrastructure, and then continue to phase two as we're building the houses in phase one.
So even before phase one is completed, you're suggesting?
Yes,
So-
this way we will have continuity.
Did we discuss dates though for construction completion dates or phasing? I don't recall that.
We did not.
So I have-
The board,
I have phase two recommended within 2 years of completion of the infrastructure.
that's fine.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay.
Yeah,
Within 2 years of what, Jim?
the infrastructure, completion of the infrastructure
Infrastructure for both phases?
For phase one.
for phase
For
one.
phase one, okay. And that would fall within what Mr. Itani said, that would encompass what he just told us. So it was phase two beginning construction within 2 years of phase one infrastructure being completed, town council.
Okay, and so Mohammed, are
Recording in
you,
progress.
so as you know, this is gonna be one decision for both phases.
To
And so,
keep everything right, it would, one of the
Sorry,
members.
Amy, we have somebody
motion
talking
to
in
close
here.
the
Could
Executive session.
I ask people to mute their microphones?
Sure. I
Like,
would make
not
a
you,
motion
Amy,
to
and not
close
you,
the
Frank.
executive session.
Yeah,
All in favor?
I just want to let you know, I'm juggling two separate meetings and I have two separate computers. And,
That's what we hear. Yeah, that's what we hear.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna-
So I'll
The
mute,
first on
I'll
the
mute
agenda,
mine,
there's variances, there's a
but I'll
variance
still
request
listen along.
and an appeal
You're
of-
bothering some other zoning board, not just us?
Yes.
76-78, 86 and
It gets
95
around.
Broad Street. I see,
Thank you.
other members
We can
here.
still hear it, Frank. Can you turn it down or mute it, the other one? Or
They're looking to.
I guess mute your mic if you're not speaking.
Got it, muted.
Okay, thank you. Mike is muted.
Okay.
So if we need Frank, be sure to say. So Amy, with that phasing and timing down, what is next procedurally to close the public hearing? Understood. And then 40 days to come up with a written decision. We haven't discussed, Mr. Itani, your counsel, Christopher
Agostino.
Mr. Agostino, was he going to submit a draft to us on a decision?
We can, yeah, absolutely.
Amy, is that,
yeah,
Go ahead.
so I need a draft, I also need a waiver list. Mohammed, I don't have a list of, waivers for the substantial modification. If you could get me that, and then I guess, since we don't have a draft, decision and we don't have a waiver list, would it be more, it might be more beneficial for everyone if we don't actually close the hearing, but we continue the hearing to next month, and at next month, we go through the draft decision and we vote on the waivers. And in that, if we don't actually close the hearing, that means that Mr. Itani and his counsel can actually, and his engineer could actually weigh in on any questions that we had.
yeah, I think that's how we had done it before. Have we not discussed a draft?
We have done that before, Mr. Chairman, yes. It's just, that would be up to the applicant, that would be up to Mr. Atani if he's willing to do it that way. It really wouldn't set you back at all, Mohammed. But I did have another question for you. Are you going to be, will you be you'll be pulling separate building permits for each dwelling, correct?
That's correct.
Yes, he says yes.
So do you think that, would you be pulling them, in groups? And I'm only wondering because, as you know, once a building permit is issued, the town gets credit for that unit on the SHI. So would you be pulling them in groups or I don't suspect that you're gonna build one house at a time, right?
Usually every 4 or 5 together.
Okay. So going back to timing, yes, Mr. Chairman, it would be great if we continued this. Mr. D'Agostino got me a draft decision and a waiver list that the next meeting, we would then go over the draft decision and the draft conditions, with my input, my comments on those on the draft decision and the draft conditions. We would then vote on the waivers, and then you would vote on the decision, which is how we've done it in the past.
Yeah, and keeping it open is for the applicant to be able to speak with us, obviously, because once it's closed to everybody, correct?
Yeah.
So, is Mr. D'Agostino on board with doing this?
Yeah, no, that's fine. We will be more than happy to continue it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
And I'll have Chris send that draft decision to Amy, and then they can do some work on it.
With a list of waivers, as we did the first time, I think we did this 10
Yeah,
years.
I
10
think
years
the
ago.
list of waiver, Amy, did not change, but would be.
Oh,
more
okay.
than happy To send you the one that.
That's what I was gonna say. I remember discussing at the very beginning, the list of waivers did not change.
Great,
I'm
great.
not
So
100%
that's
on that.
great. If you just send it to me so I have the most recent version, perfect.
Okay, I can do that.
And thank you, Frank. Now, one issue that I know of is that we don't have another meeting date because of what happened last month. So can we talk about that right now?
Yep.
We're talking about April. What is the calendar for the,
Nope, that's a
you
government thing.
have
They
two
have that.
No, I don't want the
You don't
government.
have that one.
No, I don't want that.
I was pretty busy lately.
I lost my phone today. Okay. What's the date in April that we are looking at? Sorry, I didn't look before.
Would be the 9th, if I'm correct.
9th would be good and early, and not right at tax day or Patriots Day. Is the 9th available, Lucas? I know I can. Oh. Wait a minute, that's Wednesday the 9th. Yeah. Actually, I'm supposed to be away. Sorry,
My problem is I'm gone from the 10th for the whole month in North
Oh.
Florida.
away?
Yeah.
Not Zoom available either.
I could probably.
I mean, I'm good. Plus or minus.
If you want.
You mean the week
Like the
before?
9th is the night before.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
Got
he'd
it,
have to sleep at 11.
But yeah,
So-
till the 29th.
okay.
About the second.
I could, yeah, the second I could do.
Do we have faith that Mr. Attorney Agostino could have that before the
We
2nd?
should be fine.
Are you good the second?
I am okay the 2nd now. I wasn't, just a day ago, but I am now. But that next week I'm supposed to be, traveling actually. I could do the 16th, but that's not good for Lucas, so. Why don't we do the 2nd and, see where we can get? I mean, it's only
I mean, worst case, I can zoom in, but
but let's,
the second I can be here.
yeah, let's do the 2nd if we think. Amy, is that available for you?
I am, Mr.
April
Chairman.
2.
Yep.
Then let's let's mark it down for the second, and I know that's just a couple of weeks away, but you know, this has been going on a long time. We'll see if Mr. D'Agostino can't get it done, we'll know.
Ask for a continuance if we can.
Yeah, and I understand that's, you know.
Do you wanna set a May date just to be?
Yeah, oh yeah, let's talk about May as well, sure. What is 4 weeks away from that, or approximately 4? Oh, sorry, your computer, that's your computer too, right?
Yeah,
What happened to our nifty,
they haven't come in yet.
okay, all right.
I'm good.
Mhm.
7th, 14th,
Yeah, I can do anything.
me too. So, okay,
Why don't we say the 7th, May 7th for the next scheduled meeting? Regardless of whether Island Brook is still on it.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
We can talk about June after, we've kind of advanced the weeks a little bit, but let's just get this done for now, huh?
Chairman,
Okay?
did you say May the 16th?
Seven.
The 7th?
No, second.
no, 7th.
Oh,
May 7th. I'm sorry, that was April.
May 7th, for the next, after the April.
For the wrong month.
Okay.
Oh, that's, was in April.
Yeah, sorry if it's not good. Hopefully, when we get a screen in back of us, it'll have a speaker too, so everyone can hear everybody else.
One would think.
One would, yes, technology is out there somewhere. Okay, right now, I'm gonna ask if there's any member of the public who has any questions or comments on the Island Brook 40B development. There are a number of residents here, and there may or may not be people online. Is there any question or comment on the Island Brook pending 40B application? Seeing none in the room,
And not online.
none online. These are all people involved in the other hearings tonight. So we're not going to close it anyway to the public, but I just wanted to ask in case somebody was here tuning in. So is there a motion then to continue this to, help me out, April 2?
April 2nd.
Let's say 7:05, just in case there's a brief matter that comes in. In the meantime, Brian can tell us that in a few minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor of continuing the Island Brook matter to April 2 at 7:05, Mr. Tenori,
Yes.
Mr. Wozniak, and Mr. Noel votes yes as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
gentlemen, appreciate it.
have Mr. D'Agostino and Mr. Gallagher communicate with us as soon as they can. If that's a problem with the timing, let us know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're all working on the same page, so
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
thank you, thank you. And thank you, Amy.
Have a good night.
Island Brook is continued to April
Yeah.
2.
I will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye, Amy.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next item on the, click. Next item on the agenda is listed as 0 Hill Street. Mr. Campbell, the owner is Anthony LaRusso, who is here to speak.
Dan,
Oh, sorry, right.
I'm here.
Mr. Campbell is online.
I am. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna ask you to keep your voice up because you're on a laptop right now.
Unfortunately, I am. I do appreciate you're in the hearing, and my name's Dan Campbell for the applicant.
And I'm gonna ask you, well, actually, this has been before us for a few months as well. I don't remember when we last had you on the agenda. It was in the late fall, I think.
Unfortunately, it was the late fall, and through one continuance and one unfortunate that the board didn't have a quorum, here we are in March.
I thought in January we did not hear from them. Okay.
there might have been 2 continuances then.
But I think it was 2. I have one for.
Okay. So new in the file since we last discussed this was the letter from Mr. Campbell level design group of January 14, 2025. And also, we have a letter from an abutter, correct?
Yes,
Is that for this matter, I think?
Get the email?
yeah,
Well, there was an email today.
Well,
That was for the next one, on this one, I haven't seen it.
Oh, this is what comes from.
Yeah,
I might have the wrong one then.
you're thinking about Patton.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm thinking about, the letter from an
But
abutter.
I just went in the open government. I mean,
Yeah, they-
Email.
I got one in the last hour.
Oh, then we'll have to look at that online.
Yeah,
For
sure.
this matter?
For this matter. And then yesterday we had one for
Right,
Patton.
that's the one I
Yeah,
printed
that's
out.
the whole hour.
So this
Want
is-
to read it? Yeah.
I just read it.
Well, I'm gonna ask Mr. Campbell first, but if you can keep that handy. Okay, Mr. Campbell, can you take us through where we are on this matter? With a
Sure,
brief
thank you, Mr.
description.
Chairman.
And
I appreciate it.
how this might have changed in the last 3-4 months.
Sure. We made the preliminary presentation. There were a bunch of questions that were related to the project, and we wanted to make sure that we answered all of the questions and reiterated our position based upon the zoning regulations. So my letter as of January 14th detailed how we got to where we were, with the expectation that there are 4 existing lots on this property. And the application before you is basically to add land to those pre-existing non-conforming 20,000 square foot lots. We're not taking land away from pre-existing non-conforming lots. We're adding land in this case. I went back to the start of the zoning based upon the regulations. 1974 zoning specifically exempted lots such as this from having to come into compliance and deemed them compliant lots at the time of zoning. That was based upon the definition in zoning, which said any lots which were previously approved by the planning board at that time. So we did submit the planning board approved and endorsed plan associated with those lots, creating 4 lots for the property as a whole. So those lots were deemed conforming in 1974, which follows through on those lots to today. Unfortunately, they remain pre-existing non-conforming as 20,000 square foot lots. What we're attempting to do is add approximately 20,000 square feet to each one of those lots, giving them simply more land area to make them more conforming with the general zoning in the area.
So your plans have not changed. What's changed a little bit is you've explained it more fully in your January 14 letter, right?
We explained our position more fully, why copied the original zoning, which unfortunately was the delay twice. We did file a Freedom of Information Act request to be able to get an original copy of the zoning between town hall moving and you having a new town clerk. It was a little difficult to get the original certified copy of the zoning to be able to produce the document for you.
I'm certainly not holding the delay against the applicant. I was surprised to see that you had to go through FOIA to get it. But you got it, and thank you for supplying that as well.
Absolutely.
So I have questions about this. I don't need to go first if other members have questions. But when you say that they were deemed to be in compliance, I think you're trying to equate that with conforming to zoning. But zoning hadn't started yet until the implementation of zoning. So
Correct.
that's the problem that I'm having. I'm not sure how they could be conforming if zoning had not been instituted. I understand what you're saying. The planning board had them. Was the planning board decision what was the date of that? We have that.
It was 1969, if I remember correctly, but I can very easily answer that.
Go ahead.
So at the start of zoning, 1974, when zoning was put into place, zoning had a similar section to section 6.3 today. Section 6.3 at the time had 4 sections, not 3 sections. And what it said was, if a lot, land shown on plans submitted for planning board endorsement or approval prior to the effective date of this bylaw shall be exempt from it as provided in section 7A, chapter 40A of the general laws. So this lot had been submitted for planning board endorsement and had been endorsed prior to the approval of the effective date of the bylaw, thus exempting it from the bylaw or the changes that were enacted thereof.
By the definition of zoning, which was commenced in 1974, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So questions from the board? I
I'm
have,
trying just to make sure I understand it.
yep.
And I'm not too sure I do. So,
Didn't we go back to questioning the deeds? And that this was recorded as one lot, and it wasn't 4 individual lots?
yes,
Yeah,
That was more part of our issue, and then they were gonna go back and do more research on the deeds.
the deed was, you presented the deed, correct?
We did present the deed. It was a separate document from this document, but the deed does call out 4 individual lots, and it references the plan of those 4 lots, though it was in single ownership, which, if it had not been an endorsed plan, today's zoning bylaw actually goes back and says, if it was in single ownership, it's now in single ownership, and it was one. It doesn't actually say it was one lot. It said it had to be conforming at the time of the enactment of zoning, which is a different thing that I put in my letter. But the deed itself has 4 individual lots on it. It just happens to have one deed.
Yeah. The question, and I think we asked this at the outset, do you plan, obviously, to go to the planning board to redraw these lines?
So that is entirely up to how this board acts. So if the board allows us as a pre-existing non-conforming to add space, which is not technically allowed in your zoning bylaw, if you allow us to add space to them, we would intend to redraw the lots to add that room to them. If the zoning board determines that they're pre-existing non-conforming lots, but doesn't allow us to add the space to them, we supplied at the outset 3 plans which allowed and had plenty of room to build the houses, but it was less conducive to the other houses in the neighborhood. So there's definitely 2 pathways forward for construction of the individual house lots. We would love to go back to the planning board to add the space to them as we originally presented. The other option, of course, is subdividing the rear lot and simply having 3 parcels that end up being owned by the other people. You just couldn't cross the line with a house or a structure or things of that nature. But that's not our first choice.
But to redraw lot lines, you do have to go to the planning board, right? Do we understand?
Ultimately, we have to go to the planning board.
Okay.
As long as you permit us to add space to the lines, it's not actually an A&R. Because it involves a zoning variance, then we have to go through the entire subdivision process. It becomes a definitive subdivision rather than an A&R.
I'm not conversant in that process of A&R. I'm just commenting to the other members of the board.
Sure.
I need to involve town council on this because I'm not sure, I know we've never seen this before at the board level. I understand what Mr. Campbell is presenting as far as his argument.
Can we explain that one just again?
I-
So I'm clear, like, maybe you can explain, so,
Yep.
can, and I'm
Go
sorry to
ahead.
take up your time again, but I just wanna make sure I'm clear on what you're trying to propose.
Absolutely. I'm happy to.
Right.
So the real determination is that the lots are pre-existing non-conforming. Actually, theoretically, they're conforming, but in the 1974 zoning bylaw, the zoning required under section 6.3, there's exemptions that are laid out to the parcels. There's exemption A, a parcel that was only 50 feet of frontage and 5,000 square feet of area lawfully laid out could be constructed within 5 years with no further action. Section B is the section that we're looking at. The land shown on plans submitted to the planning board for endorsement or approval prior to the effective date of this bylaw shall be exempt from this bylaw as provided in section 7A, 40A of the general laws. So these lots were in fact submitted and endorsed by the planning board prior to the enactment of the bylaw. Therefore,
This is
they
before-
are,
Hold on, and this is before the implementation of the actual zoning, right?
correct.
Yeah,
Therefore, the lots at that time were deemed to be conforming with the bylaw. So 19,000, 20,000 square foot lots, they are now pre-existing they're pre-existing conforming as of 1974. They'd be pre-existing non-conforming today because the lot sizes are much larger.
Okay.
So our original request was to allow land to be added to those pre-existing non-conforming lots. A secondary determination could be simply that the lots are pre-existing non-conforming and the developer would go and develop them as they are today. We're just looking to make them more conforming than they are today. Not conforming, but more conforming.
1986 though gets, the deed is 1986.
But the plan is 1969. The lots themselves were created according to the bylaw, in accordance with the bylaw.
Goes back to the checkerboard theories.
Yeah, in part. Go ahead.
Because it's the same owner of all the lots.
Right.
What he's referencing doesn't apply because it's the same owner.
But what he's saying is the first iteration of zoning says, and he quotes it in his letter, top of page 4, part B, land shown, and this is yellow, yeah, the top, I think you're looking at the same page. Land shown on plans submitted for planning board endorsement or approval prior to the effective date of zoning shall be exempt from it.
Yeah.
And he is saying that the way they subdivided these, because it pre-existed zoning, exempts it from what happened after with zoning. That's what Mr. Campbell is saying, right? Correct?
That is absolutely correct, Mr. Chair. And not to muddy the waters, but I made a second argument in the letter.
Yeah.
Let's say that it was not pre-existing non-conforming. The letter of the law in 1974 did not require the lots to be combined. It required any change in boundary lines to make them conforming as possible at the time. So the secondary analysis of this is, could you have made these lots conforming with the 1974 zoning bylaw? You absolutely could have. It wasn't required at the time. Simply because they didn't develop it doesn't matter. But they could have been 4 conforming lots based upon the zoning at that time. We submitted that plan as well as the argument and how to walk through it. So we're going on exactly what I read to you. But if you determined that they had to be conforming at the time of the bylaw, it's not today that they had to be conforming to. It's at the time of the bylaw would have had to make them conforming, which is 30,000 square feet per lot, not 80,000 square feet per lot.
But
The 30,000 square feet per lot would have easily been met.
okay, but you don't dispute, I don't think, that the owner at the time didn't take those steps under 1970 version of zoning.
It actually doesn't say he had to.
Well,
It says that the
doesn't say.
zoning, it says that the zoning had to make those lots conforming.
But see, zoning then changed at some point after this. And
Yes,
imposed the other requirements saying, okay, at this point, whatever point that is, if there are lots held in common ownership, they're combined. So.
it doesn't say that. It says if lots are held in common ownership that were non-conforming as of 1974.
Yep, at the implementation of zoning, right.
Correct. So there's two arguments. The first is in 1974, by Section B, they were made conforming all by themselves. The second argument is if you determined that Section B didn't apply for some reason, the 30,000 square feet would have been the conformance that was required. It didn't require him to do that. It would have done it by itself. And that was an easily met requirement. It doesn't require him to go do a subdivision. That's not what the zoning says. Same as if you didn't do all of this, that today's bylaw doesn't require you to perform a subdivision. It says that they're combined. It's the same
Yep.
thing, only
By operation of law is what you're saying.
correct.
Okay, so my problem with this is that the law changed in 1974, but the owner did not take action, and I understand Mr. Campbell says didn't have to. But then the law changed, the bylaw changed thereafter, and the owner again didn't take action within any 5 years. Mr. Campbell is saying, well, he didn't have to because they were all ready. I can't sit here and assume that the owner had this argument in either 1974 or in 1980, whatever it was, when the next iteration of the bylaws came online, and said, oh, we don't have to do it now. We can do this in 2024, because the way the bylaw changed over time. I don't believe that happened. That's one observation. My second observation is I'm not prepared to do anything before the input of town council. Have you communicated with Ms. Questle about this yet?
I submitted the letter, and prior to last month's meeting, I had asked Brian whether or not we had any correspondence from any other departments or council. And at that time we hadn't. I don't know that anybody actually contacted council for the request. As you know, I can't do that.
Well, you can bring it, you could have brought it to her attention, but I'm not holding that against the applicant. I'm just asking if in fact she had been involved with this at any point, because there are a number of these in the last year where she had been involved, but I don't recall any input from Ms. Questle, who's no longer here at the meeting. She was on
Right.
the first.
I was really hoping she was going to stay, in all honesty.
I think she needs to review this letter.
I think he has to review all of this and advise us. So I'm gonna suggest, please ask other questions that
No,
you can think of now.
I understand his point. My question, I guess, would be to Amy is, when the information of zoning comes in, my understanding would be 5 years. I think that's what was going on. They got 5 years to develop it
Under the
under the
prior
right,
requirements.
right.
And I agree. There is a subsection that specifically requires that for an undersized 5,000 square foot, 50-foot frontage lot. Section B, however, specifically exempted these lots and deems them conforming at the time of zoning. So they would be pre-existing non-conforming in perpetuity. I understand exactly what you're looking for, which is why I wanted to trace it all the way back to the original zoning and got the meeting minutes associated with the town meeting that approved the zoning bylaw, which I also attached to that letter.
You've assembled a very nifty argument. I give you honest credit for that. we've never seen this before. And, I'm just not willing or able to make a decision without consulting town council
I fully understand and wouldn't expect it.
as to whether she has seen this in this town or any other town, that she's worked for.
So, can I ask,
Yeah, go ahead. Mr. Wozniak has a question.
so these three lots are not separated in the registry of deeds. And there's
Well-
no approved subdivision prior to 1974 by the town.
There is an approved subdivision. I did include that in the package. It's
That's-
signed by the planning board.
Well, yeah, and I didn't print that out. We saw it at one point, but here is the map. That's actually dated 66, I think, or 67. And Mr.
Might be
Campbell-
67.
This, Mr. Campbell's saying this is what the planning board approved. Now, we have the planning board approval somewhere. I didn't print that out, and my computer's dead right now.
Yep.
But we have that. I know we have that, and we can go back to that and supply it to council and talk to Mr. Campbell about it. But are there any other basic questions before I ask Mr. Campbell if we can, with the applicant's agreement, put this off till hopefully April 2, but
No, I still have a little bit of issues when the information.
I want to do some more research.
yeah, because it's a nifty argument that Mr. Campbell is, and maybe the law works that way, that the second iteration of zoning didn't take care of buttoning up this loophole. I kind of thought otherwise, but I see where Mr. Campbell is saying the first iteration says this is not non-conforming. Sorry for the double negatives, but that's what he's saying.
Correct.
And that's a question that I'm not able to satisfy, even with his very good explanation in his January 14 letter, which I've read multiple times, believe me. So our next meeting is April 2. I don't know if this can be looked at before then. I have to ask town manager, obviously, too, first. But I can pitch that very soon and ask town council to be present for the next hearing. If she can't do that by the next hearing, then we've just scheduled another one in May. So I'm gonna ask for a motion to continue this. The question is, may I have the permission of the applicant to continue it to either April 2 or May 7?
Mr. Chairman, we would be glad to allow a continuance to April 2nd. It is definitely a day I can attend in person rather than, from a car in Connecticut. I would ask that if town council is apt to review this, that she and I are able to talk together prior to the next public hearing.
Yes.
That it's not just a surprise at the hearing, her determination.
No, I agree, and that's the way
Thank you.
that's the way we've always done it. The communication is essential, because I'll try to dig out what you're referring to as the planning board decision, but, if I don't get it right, you need to. So absolutely. But the first step is to ask town manager and then town council. And so with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to continue this, to give the chair opportunity to get town council involved and give permission, obviously, to talk to Mr. Campbell, who presents the argument very well. Is there such a motion?
I make that motion.
Mr. Tenori? It's been seconded. No further discussion at this time?
Nope.
Mr. Tenori, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Wozniak?
Yeah.
And Mr. Noel votes yes as well. This matter then is continued at least till April 2nd, with the hope that we can take it up that night. But with the understanding that we'll be in touch through Mr. Carmichael, before then, to discuss that scheduling with you. Mr.
I
Campbell.
greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry to hear you're in a parking lot in Connecticut. But, you have good.
Is it sorry
Wi-Fi.
that I'm in a parking lot or that I'm in Connecticut?
Well, I like Connecticut.
All right. Thank you very
Hold on,
much. Have a
hold
good
on,
evening,
one
everybody.
1 second, please.
Yeah.
The public's here, do we have to?
we already continued it, so I'm sorry, I could have and probably should have asked
Yeah.
for any comment on what they've heard so far.
Yeah.
But we just continued it, so we will have to take it up the next time. Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
I should have got you before that.
Yeah, and I apologize, for that, but, we will take it up again on April 2. Are you all here for that, for this hearing? Well, I don't mean to
This side, I
put
think.
anybody on the
Okay.
spot, okay.
Just wanna
Okay.
make sure.
I could have and should have, but now that we've continued it, we can't get back into it, so I apologize for that.
There was no decision made.
No, it's,
Like, you know.
we're really at,
it's a minute.
we're really at the exploration stage.
Yeah, so,
We have the January letter, you should have access to that.
well, interestingly enough, that's not on the public Dropbox folder. But we were able to actually find that by searching for the application through some weird, believe it or not.
I don't know, you're welcome to,
It's actually very well written.
yeah, we can get you a copy of. Okay, are you sure it's same thing with the original bylaw attached? Okay. Thank you for your understanding, and we'll talk again April 2.
Ask you like a question though, like, so let's just say this was approved. The next step is planning board, like, I don't understand like the.
Well, we can't talk about the substance, but that would be the next. Mr. Campbell just answered that. I asked the question of him and he said, if we decide one way, they wouldn't have to. If we approve a different way, he would then have to go to planning board to redraw the actual lines, to make the lots bigger.
Yeah.
With more space added.
Okay.
But I'm just repeating what he said. I've got,
This is from an outside perspective, trying to understand the flow.
it's complicated because we don't get involved. We don't get involved with the lot lines. That's exactly why I was asking him.
And those type of applications, butters wouldn't really be notified because it's their own lot. So if you did wanna know when, you would probably wanna contact me or,
To find out
Yeah.
when it would be.
But you'll know, yeah, it'll be publicly advertised anyway.
well, no, it would be on the Dropbox, but because it's just their lot lines, they wouldn't be advertised, they wouldn't have a butters notice.
They wouldn't get notice in the mail, right?
Right,
But it'll be on the public
it'd be on the agenda.
planning board agenda. Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. Okay, okay, thank you. Thanks for the prompt, but sorry.
Sorry, I got to you late.
No, I did a prompt, because I did for the first one, I didn't.
And did we wanna have a time or December?
Oh, yeah, well, we could,
7?
7:10.
Oh, so I'm.
Well, yeah, we'll see, but. Okay, and then. Now, for you folks, the third item on the agenda. 15 Patton Road, the applicant, Mr. Freeman. Are you a Paul? Okay. The other Freeman is
John?
John, thank you,
That's the-
thank you.
He's no longer with us. Sorry.
Wasn't recently, was it?
Yeah, past 2 months or so.
So sorry.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that either.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, condolences on that. All right, can I ask the applicant to remind us again, like I did the last one, because we've been kicking these month to month, for a summary of where the applicant believes the board is at this point.
This is a different one. Another, application, yeah. Tonight for.
We had Patton before us in the fall, and
Correct.
there was a decision,
Correct.
and that involved other lots, right?
Yeah.
I understood. That decision, just for the record, that was, September
Yeah, it was in the fall.
18, that was the hearing, approved, and that was these, remember this?
Yep.
That was these 3
Yeah.
lots. But this is a different lot in the same area.
Yeah,
It's not
Understood.
one of those? It's not one of those that we discussed. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
I thought it was a small house next to it, next to the butts those.
Go ahead. So there's a plan, and then did I see there? Yeah, there's an amended plan. So, sorry, for the record, the first plan is October 2024. And then there's a revision dated December 17.
I flipped the garage around. I don't have an actual house plan for that, this is just a visual. I brought it with me tonight, because when I applied for the building permit, I'm gonna get the correct plans.
Okay,
The
so,
site plan is just a mirror image of the
So,
storage.
okay, so
Paul, just to confirm, is the garage on a pre-existing house or is that, new house gonna be on?
house.
Okay,
here's the first plan we had and we looked at. There's no garage on this, is there?
Yes, there is. You don't have,
you don't
Little tricky.
this plan right here, so that's.
This is the December 17 plan, though.
the garage would be on the right, so it'd be.
Oh,
this,
it's flipped
this,
there.
this.
So the garage is here,
Where's the garage?
right there.
Hero garage.
Oh, I thought it said car as in a driveway.
No, he mirrored it. Mr. Chairman, this is, if you can just look at this, good.
Okay,
It would just show a foundation of, yeah, they're a little tricky to.
that's the garage. I didn't see
Yeah,
that
and
as
and
a
I
garage. I thought that was a driveway.
And I already applied, and I was told it wasn't a big deal to, resubmit a new plan, so I did. Any reason for something? It's privacy along the garage.
Okay,
On
but
the
the,
front and a lot, on the right.
right, the December plan is the garage is on the left now. On the December, it's the December plan we're going with.
Okay, yeah.
Because the neighbor who sent the letter was actually Ms. Dodson, who is
Yes.
on the left.
Oh, she's in a 15-year-old colonial who lives
Yep.
next to her, and he sent a letter apparently today. I spoke with her, and he wants some trees essentially. I mean, obviously she's gonna, I think I saw her name on the screen on the Zoom meeting. She had some concerns.
Yes, and she is present by Zoom. And we'll ask for her input in just a minute. Basically, you're looking for a variance down to, it's still 14 feet.
Right.
On the southerly or southwesterly, side yard.
Yes.
Garage side now. On the garage side.
Yep.
Right.
I don't think I had asked for rear, but the front too, I believe. These are R60, you know, it's a R60, so your setbacks are pretty big when you have a small house, so you need a
Well,
variance for.
we need to know what you're asking for. Does this implicate the frontage?
Yeah,
I mean, the front yard setback is, you're saying?
It should have been on the application that I filed, the front and sides, and then a section 6 finding. And also the building inspector asked me, to request a variance for the amount of lots it's covering.
Yeah, lot coverage. Yeah, lot coverage, too. Yeah. So how far is the new, from the front, oh, it is here, it's 28 feet
Yes.
from the front, from the road. It is here, I was looking again, I can't visualize, the building has, the existing house is messing me up, I keep going to the dotted log signs. So the proposed new house is 28 feet at the closest point from the, road. And 14 feet at the closest point on the garage side, and 14 feet on the other side as well. Right. So those variances, would all be required. The rear yard, does that present a variance? No. Okay. Yeah, the left or the front. And the existing house, is that vacant? And that, of course, is closer than 14 feet.
He actually, then probably showed it.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm my bad for not bringing it up in email here. I don't think anybody else.
No, I could see it on the plan, so. All right. So it's an application for variance relief. There is a house on the property now. questions from the board members first before I ask for questions or comments from interested abutters. This is a standard size house?
Yeah.
Is that a two-car garage?
Yes.
And the lot is 8,245 square feet. Is the percentage shown here on the plan or application? Lucas, you indicated you would need that. Did you do some math yourself?
That's just a proportion of the new house on the property. So the lot's 8245.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's not.
it's a big house. I mean, for the lot.
For the lot,
For the
right,
lot.
right.
You want to list this one? What's your email? I can send you with a plan that has a note on it.
What?
I have the plan with a little note on it, the percentage on it. If you want, I can email it to you.
That was the.
No, we need to have the plan submitted with the numbers on it. That's, so if you've got a different
Well,
plan,
we have a plan that tells us how big the lot is, but we don't have a plan of how big the coverage is, the house.
Yeah, I got it right here. If I can send it to you. Would you?
That's gonna go.
Yeah, go
is
send
it,
it to Brian.
right, is it a certified engineer?
Yes.
What is the percentages you have it on the plan?
31.7.
So that's, again, exceeding.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is exactly, but it, in the teens, isn't it? Maximum lot coverage. Okay, so I know there is comment from abutters and from interested neighbors, not even direct abutters. One is a letter from Jacqueline Dodson, dated March 10. Zoning board, you all have that? Okay.
For the bottom.
It's in the file. These are 20, the patents are, I'm sorry. The Dodsons are at 21 Patton Road, which is the property on the garage side. That's the property directly. And they're concerned about the 14-foot distance into the side yard boundary as impacting their family privacy.
Is the garage coming in? Yeah, it's coming in straight up Patton, right? Straight in, yeah.
As an alternative, Ms. Dodson asks that we, if it's approved, direct that a tree line be,
That's.
part of the order, part of the approval.
You wanna consider, the table says 16% lot coverage.
Is that it for this
60.
16, so it's double, almost double the size, yeah. Sir, have you considered a tree line there?
I told her I have absolutely no objection to her request.
Okay. Now, there are people here who are here to speak either in favor of or in opposition to. Hold on. I need to call on you one at a time. Whoever wants to speak can speak, but I need you to state your name and address. And then ask a question or make a comment.
My question is to him.
Okay,
My
so
name is Debbie Churchill. I live at 4 Patton Road,
Debbie Churchill,
diagonally across from the houses,
okay,
which totally obliterated my view of anything.
what,
Look out my kitchen window. I used to see a beautiful sunset. I used to see pine trees. I'm sorry, Paul, but you took away
Oh.
something very, very,
I'm sorry too, I'm sorry. you're-
okay.
hold on, wait.
Address the board.
Make one more comment.
No.
Come to the board.
Has to come to the board.
You have to
Please don't
talk to us.
vote directly.
And then we'll ask the applicant, or we'll ask the applicant if he can ameliorate the concern or something like that. But what are you saying, for the houses obliterated, because this hasn't been built
House
yet?
Obliterates my view of the sunset that I, through the pines. I
The
look out
house-
my kitchen window and all.
The
Those
previous
houses that
house,
he built,
that's
and
what I'm asking, which houses are you talking about?
The two he built already, and if he's gonna build a third one like that,
Oh,
this road is gonna be gone.
hold on,
Could you tell us the lots that the other houses are on? Are they across the street, the same?
Whatever houses he built, I don't, next to the one.
I don't know
hold on,
either.
hold on, we know you're angry, I
Yeah.
get you're angry, right? And and Mr. Freeman
I-
is,
I don't know, I don't have my reading glasses on, so I don't know the two lots that think.
Are you referring to?
Are
Number
they,
7 and number 9.
are they
yeah.
to the right of the parcel in question tonight?
When you're facing it, yes, when you're facing the parcel, they're to the right.
Okay,
Two
thank
houses
you.
To the right,
So those were part of the decision in the fall?
right.
Okay, and so houses were constructed there,
They're huge, they don't belong in our neighborhood.
okay? And you're saying that they have already impacted your sight
Big time
line?
negative.
Okay, we just needed to know what you were referring to.
I also have another thing, if I could
Sure,
say it,
Yes.
if he is going to be putting arborvitae's or whatever along the Dodson's property line, I think it would be the decent thing for you to do the same thing to 18 Balsam Road, because you raped their privacy.
hold on.
You raped their privacy.
No,
Please,
we
please,
don't,
please don't.
this isn't for insults or anger.
No, I'm just, he's gonna take more stuff down.
Yeah, please,
With the board, please, though.
The board, we're gonna get to Jackie, I'm still tuned. She heard a letter, I knocked on her door, and we had a conversation, and I agreed to do. Also wanted, I'm gonna do, it's not done yet, the other two houses aren't done yet, I'm gonna do a nice job, that's all I can say.
okay. Now, I want to go back, Ms. Churchill, please ask us or direct comment to us.
Okay, I just wanna know why he has to make them so goddamn tall, so that they're like skyscrapers over everybody else.
Okay,
Well, it is allowed, just so you know, because I'm looking at the zoning table, it's allowed 3 stories for R60, so he's not doing anything.
Okay, well, I
What's
just
the
thought maybe
foot-
he might have a heart.
what's the foot
Why
measurement?
can't he do this in his own
You can build
backyard?
up to 3 stories high, so I'm sure it's impactful, what was
Yeah.
there, but he is not doing anything,
I understand
we're
that.
here for a different matter, but I'm just letting you know that on that specific comment, he does have the right to build 3 stories.
No,
Okay,
you have the right to move everybody.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I actually am gonna turn to Ms. Dodson. Can you hear us, Ms. Dodson?
I can, yeah.
There you are, okay. Just switch position on the Jeopardy board.
Sorry there.
Ms. Dodson, the applicant, spoke with you today or yesterday about the trees.
Yes, yep.
Go
he-
ahead. Is that sufficient for your concerns?
You know, obviously 14 feet is incredibly close. It's closer than we would prefer. I think that the setbacks are for a reason, obviously, and I have concerns that you're saying it's 32% lot coverage when the standard is 16, I believe you said, so that's almost double. So it's just a really large house on a lot that is quite tall and already on top of a number of other houses, you know? So at a bare minimum, planting some, I mean, that whole 7, 9, and 15 were, well, 15 had an existing house, but 7 and 9 were all trees. You know, it was a neighborhood that was very quiet, full of trees, smaller houses, and now it's turning into these massive houses on small lots, and it's really changing the flavor of the neighborhood, and it's getting uncomfortable in a way.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Questions from any board members or response? Okay, now, ma'am, what is your name and address?
Janet Plum, 9 Mayflower Road.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I reiterate some of what's already been said. Paul said that this is a standard house, but it's not standard for our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is one, and I'm sure you know, the Grove neighborhood. I would say the collective median price of a house, if you average all together, is $450,000, which is really cheap in this part of the state. It's affordable housing. The whole neighborhood's affordable housing. People are living on the edge here. And Paul's putting in houses that he's asking almost $900,000 for. It totally is changing in scope. They're huge. They look over everybody else on tiny lots. And they also are, turning a neighborhood into something that's not going to be affordable. One by one, these houses are coming in, and we're very concerned about that. I'm aware of the initiative that Norton is embarking on now, along with other towns, about having enough affordable housing if you're living near the train station. This is going and it's taking us in the opposite direction. It's so out of character in our neighborhood. They're beautiful houses, but they look ridiculous.
Are they in fact 3 stories, the ones that have been constructed?
They look like they're 5.
Well,
Yeah, they're about.
are they
yeah,
3?
I mean, they're up on a grade, and then they have 3, counting the lower level, which is a walkout level.
I see, right.
It is 3 stories. Now, most of our houses are 1 story. They don't even have a basement, most of our houses. And this is just, to encourage a variance on yet another lot so that he can put a house in that big is so contrary to where we live, why we live there, and what the state is after with affordable housing, that new initiative,
Okay.
on all levels, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Other questions, for the speaker? Okay, so, and a gentleman has just handed a picture, which we'll put in the file. What is that on? Do you know the address, Mr. Peterson?
House number 7.
Wait, is that one of the new houses?
Yes, no, it's not even, the roof line's not higher than that.
It
And
is,
this
it's
house,
much higher, it just doesn't work.
this house is comparable, the house is under that. It's really
That-
comparable
yeah.
to number 21. The
That house
second
is.
Hold
Is the
on.
house larger or smaller than what
Same.
you're proposing?
Same.
And is this something you guys
It
approved?
is not.
You guys approved this back in the fall?
No, we didn't give variances. We approved let me look at the
Well,
decision.
let me ask you.
Which you should have not.
Via the zoning board, that lot?
Yeah, they're previously non-conforming vacant lots.
But you didn't get variances for the construction. You didn't need variances.
Variance, right?
Did not need it?
He didn't need variances.
Right.
I don't remember this one coming up.
No, we agreed to the 3 because of the
Right.
ownership of the LLC and that. But we specifically said if it exceeds
Yeah,
the zoning
So
requirement.
this met all the R6 requirements?
It really did not.
Those were vacant, so they're grandfathered from a lot of the setback requirements.
Vacant, so they're grandfathered from setbacks?
It did not meet the R60
Not that they were
requirements.
grandfathered. They were within them.
They're within them.
13.
Okay, well, that's different.
Yeah.
25, 13. For the smaller lots, it's 25, 13.
Right, okay.
That's,
That's what you're talking about.
Or a lot of
but
exemptions?
they don't get the 25, 13 to existence in the law. It's like a loophole, not a loophole,
Yeah,
it almost like should keep it for the houses that are still there, in my opinion.
I
You
understood.
know what I'm saying?
Well, it was a small lot exemption.
Yeah, it looks.
Yeah,
like-
yes, exactly. I'm sorry. Those 2 were built under small lot exemption. That's
Okay,
correct.
well,
Yes,
that makes sense.
ultimately.
They should not have been.
Right, what we said was buildability of either lot is dependent on consideration of full and proper plans presented to the building commissioner, which shall be subject to all bylaws, including further consideration by the board if necessary. That's what we said. So went to the building inspector and building inspector apparently approved whatever plan we presented. I remember that we specifically wanted.
That's what I'm saying, that's.
Yeah.
Knowing if the variance was given for the lot coverage.
So that should be added to the file. And yes, sir,
Yeah.
what
Dave
is your name?
Constantino,
Dave Constantino.
5 Mayflower Road.
Thank you.
Directly across from that, next street over. So I've been here 30 years, and it's kind kind of tired of coming to these meetings to defend our neighborhood from all these guys coming in, trying to make a quick buck. Just kind of come in and uproot the whole place and piss people off, for lack of a better word. They're not gonna live there. It's all just for greed. You know, they find a loophole in the system because nobody can understand the bylaws the way they're written. And come in here and just build what they want, make their money, and ride off into the sunset with.
So it's your feeling that this house, in addition to
This
what
house
was
up-
constructed with the values of,
Yeah,
It's a detriment to the neighborhood.
Ms. Dodson, I have to ask you to remain quiet or we'll block you.
It's not me speaking.
I'm sorry.
It's Judy's iPhone.
Who's?
The one called
David's
Judy's
wife.
iPhone. Can you please mute?
I'm sorry.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Ms. Dodson, I'm sorry. You're the only name I can read on the screen. So I
worries.
see. It's another person who is not appearing, but just the voice appeared and I thought it was coming from you. So
So-
apologies.
I've had it happen next door to me. Guys come in and try to build a house, 14-foot house. The building inspector says, oh, wait a minute. Shuts them down, then gives them the permit again, and we go back and forth. I finally have to buy the land. Across the street, the town tried to put a Habitat for Humanity on 2 non-conforming lots. Town council finally stepped in and said they're not buildable because they weren't owned by the same people at the time of the bylaws and that kind of thing. And I'm just tired of it. Like,
Okay, thank you.
he's built a house on corner of Reservoir and Evergreen Street. He's supposed to have 25-foot setbacks from both streets. It's only 25 from Reservoir Street. So he kind of got a buy on that.
Well, I don't know. It could have been a
Yeah,
variance.
we can't speak to that.
Yeah, I
What-
know.
Was there a variance granted? I don't know. Okay,
He
but
did-
we're not gonna solve that.
No, I'm
tonight.
just saying.
I
So,
appreciate your
I think he's
comment.
made his money and made his point in our neighborhood, and it's time to take a hike and go somewhere else to me.
Understood, understood.
We don't need any more houses. We don't need any more people in the neighborhood. It's way too congested.
Ma'am, we had called on you already, but do you have another comment?
Clarification.
Yes,
If, as in the 2 lots that were built on in, the end of being built on now, not whatever those 2 are on Patton Road, the numbers. If something goes to the building inspector and there's variances that are needed, why? The building inspector can decide on the moment to grant that and not bring
No,
it back
no.
I mean, we were not called to approve any variances on those 2 buildings.
no, that apparently those went to the building inspector and the building inspector apparently said they conform because of the small lot
There's a section
exemption.
on the bylaws.
When are they gonna get rid of that?
No, there's an exemption on 6.3 that specifically says that a 170 section 6 point small lots, non-conforming lots, and it lays out what he's allowed to do. The
Okay.
same idea of how tall these buildings are, he's allowed to do it, and that's in the bylaws.
The side,
The side
dimension
setbacks
and
are
everything.
different for the small
Okay.
lots.
So that didn't
That's
come
what
to
I-
us.
That's what I wanted to
That's why I
know.
never came.
So how come they're calling us R60, but then they just still go back to the same non-conforming small lot exemption? Why are we in R60? Should have its own.
The small lot exemption speaks to certain conditions and I mean, it's not an issue here on this one. So
On which one?
that's before us tonight.
Current application.
Right. No, that's not, but so variances, isn't that more for like a homeowner, if someone owns the property, has a hardship? There's no hardship here.
Well, that's what
our decision.
That's what we have to decide.
Right. My point, there's no hardship.
Yep.
Who's the current owner of the property?
It is this,
And where is she and
see the owner of the abandoned house?
Yeah,
It was a letter, right?
No. A lady lives in Taunton,
Giolotti or something like that?
Chilfie, Michelle Chilfie, she lives in Taunton. She hired me to build a house.
Yeah, there was a letter that said.
Yeah, I got authorization.
Oh, the authorization
Yeah,
letter.
In
from-
the application, yes.
Thank you.
Michelle, right? Yeah, that's one.
Okay,
Dated December 4th.
understood. All right, so are there any other questions by the board? of the applicant or of the, abutters who have spoken. It's pretty clear there's a lot of opposition, but we're not here to count votes for or against, but we have to apply the variance bylaw, which says, and one of the, abutters just pointed out, hardship. It's our judgment, it comes down to our judgment as to whether we find that this lot in particular is in line for variance relief due to things that affect this lot, not others in the area, and hardship, among other things. And it sounds like this is typical in the area, so I'm not sure that we can satisfy either the hardship prong or the prong of this being particular to this lot and not others in the area. That's my observation. But let me first ask, is there anybody else to speak in favor of or in opposition to the application?
Anybody else?
I know, but you're on record already. I mean, anybody else who hasn't spoken? Okay.
Mark, you haven't spoken, get on record.
Would you like to speak?
I do oppose what he's doing.
Okay, what's your name and address?
Mark Churchill, 4 Patton Road.
Okay,
It's the same thing, city monstrosities in front of.
It just takes away from the character of it.
so you're in opposition
Yes.
to the application?
Yes.
Again, visual sightlines, being interrupted. Thank you. So if there's nobody else to speak in favor of or in opposition, is there a motion to close the public hearing portion?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing portion.
All those in favor of that motion, Mr. Tenori?
Yes.
Mr. Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes as well. So now it is up to us to, process what we've heard and make a decision.
Under the 16% coverage.
Yeah, we've heard of the lot size, relative construction size versus the bylaw, which says 16%. It would need, 2 side yard variances, and it would need front yard variance. Did we say that as well? Yeah. So it is trying to put a lot on a small lot, pardon the excuse of the term. Discussion?
So I literally just went through this with the house behind my house. I get what they're saying. Well, it's literally someone just put one in my backyard, so. My only. And that, by all means, that weighs heavily on my decision, don't get me. However, I also look at, I think about, if you were to develop a lot, someone coming in Norton is usually gonna want a 2-car garage. So my first thought was, well, maybe we can make this a 1-car garage, or maybe we can lessen.
Take the garage away.
Take the garage away, but no one's gonna, I mean, very rarely people are gonna buy a house without a garage these days. That's
Plenty of houses without garages.
Okay, we got no more public input, under the
That would be
rules.
my feeling, if I was looking for a house right now, and, you know, even if I'm younger, I'd look for, I'd at least want a 2-car garage, cause I'd ask maybe we drop down to 1. Yeah, I was like, you know, if we can cut the house down, the problem is it's only 28 by 36. It's not a terribly big house, I feel, although it's big for the lot.
Well, I note the existing structure is closer to the right property line, the easterly property line, than what the intended construction is. Yes, there you go, right, that's what I'm talking, oops, sorry.
So, like, I kinda in my head just kinda went, okay, this was here,
That's
right?
what I did already, yeah,
Yeah, it's half, he's doubling the size of the house
with the garage.
with a garage.
Mhm. of the existing house.
Correct, yeah, with the existing house, so he's basically, the width is, I mean, it's not on there, but I just did it in, you know, my eye visual, it looks
Yep.
like he's doubling the size of the house.
Now, what's the new plan that was submitted though? We've gotta see that.
With the, that went to Brian, right?
Do you have that? Can you call it up? No, the new plan that,
So the one I emailed to you, is that what you
oh,
mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself, we could put this to the next meeting so we could look at that plan because.
When you plan, you talking about?
The one I just got
I
emailed.
think you have a new
There's
plan
an
with the
updated
square
plan.
footage, right? Oh,
No, not at this, not just, 20 minutes ago, I emailed Brian Moore, talking about, okay, oh, that people, 3-4 weeks ago, well, not actually, probably 6 weeks ago. I swapped the garage around, so he should have that.
we have.
We have that drawn,
Okay.
but we don't have
Yeah,
the lot coverage
That's
calculation.
an email from my engineer
Okay, there,
that he wrote on the plan that he had stamped.
okay.
What the percentage is.
Then I want to get that in front of us printed out. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
want,
me,
yeah, I know
one of
that,
the application requirements, I thought was to have all the calculations and requirements right on the plan.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So,
it is.
we can request that, but I think the discussion can still be had right now.
yep,
That's a formality.
yeah, the only problem I have with that, and no disrespect, is that's handwritten, I don't know.
No, that doesn't matter.
You want me to forward to you guys?
Yeah.
I can just.
I know, I was kind of an afterthought, but don't,
Yeah.
I missed it, everybody missed it. He uploaded something, he made a comment, need a variance for lot coverage.
Oh.
And I emailed Mike
so
Trowbridge.
that wasn't newly stamped by Mr. Trowbridge then.
He had he must have had a stamped copy at his office and wrote that in email.
I would
So
request for a
That-
resubmission
I
with
agree.
printed
I can do that,
in like a table.
Go
There's a
with
table showing,
absolutely.
you know,
the
our
requirements and then
required,
what's
what we're
being,
looking for.
yeah, I agree.
Right.
So that if we approve it, it's on the plan of record of the exact
I understand.
dimensional
My
requirements.
bad, I apologize.
Well, it's, you know, Mr. Trowbridge probably could have done that before, so, do we agree then that we should have that plan and look at that
Yeah.
plan first? That means putting this to April 2nd as well. I assume Mr. Trowbridge can do that.
Yeah.
But he's, since he emailed, notes on it.
If you have an actual abutter, you should say no if they say no.
I'm sorry, the public comment section is closed. We gave opportunity to be heard before. So we're just going under the rules, Robert's rules of how to conduct a meeting. I don't know who said that, number one. And so we're gonna continue on. Is there a motion to continue this to April 2 with the proviso that the applicant submit an updated plan showing what was square footage of the intended construction, the square footage of the intended construction, what
Lot
else?
coverage calculation.
Well, that's, I'm sorry, that's what I am getting, yes, the lot coverage calculation, but also newly stamped by Mr. Trowbridge, newly stamped as this is the plan being submitted, so that we can have that, in black and white and see that. I assume that the other, dimensions haven't changed, but it's supposed to be on the plan, in the application.
I don't know, I mean, that's pretty much what I had to say, I don't know if you guys have any other comments before we.
Well, I don't know, I'm mulling it over because I don't know what's out there. I almost want to go by and take a look.
Yes, please
But,
do.
the neighbors feel that these homes are oversized. I don't know if they are. It's not, on paper, it's not a huge construction.
Right.
But on a lot like this, it may be. And so,
I go back to one of the comments regarding this being an R60 zoned area. And then you have a small lots exemption, which the whole neighborhood should have fell under that realistically. And I see it as an improvement to the area because the existing house is dilapidated, so.
It's not. It's not.
And to Mr. Tenori's comments, this is a normal, standard, marketable type house being constructed. We have to take those considerations.
all right,
But the small, I look at small lot and I say, it asks for 13 feet this doesn't fall underneath that, but realistically, this neighborhood falls underneath that where it says 13 feet south, setback, 25 front. It just,
If it was an undeveloped lot. Right,
you know,
it's within what the bylaw set for undeveloped lots. So it's not, what being asked for is not a huge deviation from that, except that there's construction there already.
and the neighbor's comments about the house being X amount large, you know, Mr. Freeman could redesign this to still be 35 feet tall. He could move the house back, left, right, and still somehow gain what he's trying to ultimately build, which is a X amount of square footage.
Right.
It's just gonna look really bad.
It's getting tall.
And it's just, so we're gonna put him in a box to build something. He's gonna still wanna build something. It's just gonna look like a weird tower. Now, I think it's gonna be even more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Or lack of garage, and so there'll be cars parked in the
Yeah, I
driveway,
think,
which doesn't, in my opinion anyway, serve any purpose. But let's get the plan, the final updated plan stamped by Mr. Trowbridge
Absolutely. I
with the
appreciate
new date, you know,
it.
with
Yep,
the
absolutely.
date beyond this. And we'll take this up on a motion to continue on the April 2nd calendar, say at 7 o'clock. Hey, this is our first one.
Yep.
For that
Yeah.
night. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
If you're alive.
Sorry.
Is there a second? Okay, so the motion is to take this up, to continue this till April 2nd. But we asked that the plan be submitted ahead of time, so it's in the
Absolutely.
file and, we all know what we're dealing with, on paper.
Yep.
Mr. Tenoy, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Wozniak?
Yes.
And Mr. Noel votes yes again, so we'll decide at April 2. Expect to. Okay? Thank you for your participation. To those participating by internet, thank you for being here. We're gonna take this up on April 2. There is another plan showing some same dimensions and placement, we think, but showing the square footage of the place as certified by the engineer. We're gonna take a look at that and make that the plan of record between now and the next meeting on April 2 at 7 o'clock. And I'm sorry, Ms. Dodson, for accusing you of breaking in.
That's okay, no worries.
Okay, thank you for your assistance and your participation. Okay, and this is continued now. All right, thank you. Are there other matters before us? General,
Two things.
yeah.
Uh,
Mr. Iafrede.
Yes,
is
that's
not
one of the
here.
first things.
He's leaving as of tomorrow. He's done.
Yes.
Which one? What's your one?
Oh, good friend, that's where he lives.
That's where he lives. Good job.
I didn't know
You guys
that.
notice or you just?
He did.
I'm not.
It's in Brian's email to us a
I saw
few
it.
days ago. I just saw it yesterday,
He
but
must have got a raise. He texted me that he wants a new Bronco.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, I hope it's something good for you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wrote back today saying, oh, West Bridgewater, I didn't know that he lived in the town, but he said it's so close to where I live, probably same town, obviously. And he said a much better package, so happy for him, but I just wanted to note,
I'm not happy. I like.
no, Mr. Iafrede has been, utmost talent and assistance to us, in my view, and I think
No, it's been great.
think the board members agree with me, and thank
Yeah.
you for saying so. And we're gonna miss Mr. Iafrede.
To that end,
Do we have a new Brian?
Brian?
Why
I
aren't
have
you out
not heard
there?
anything.
Why aren't you out there with a sandwich board recruiting? We need a new building inspector.
I don't know who does the hiring process. I know, for example, the planning director required the building commissioner and the town manager to hire. For a building commissioner, I'm not sure who would
Yeah,
be in charge.
I'm only joking, but
Yeah.
anything you can do to
His last
spare.
day is tomorrow.
Yeah.
What?
His last day is tomorrow,
He's
and then
signed for-
afterwards, he's using vacation time until he goes to West Bridgewater.
Yeah, he told me, I asked when's your last day, he said tomorrow. And sorry, I can't be there tonight, so we have to say farewell to him remotely, though. Beer is not out of the question.
Yeah, right.
Although
We can do that.
if two of us go, we have to report it as a meeting, so that. Remember when-
Open meeting laws, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what council told me.
Yeah, no, there is.
We used to go out all the time,
Yeah.
Charlie Valentine days. Sorry to not I'm bringing this up on the record. I used to go out for beer after meetings a lot.
Yeah.
And never had a problem, never talked about stuff, just talked about other things going on. But council,
Yeah, you can have more than, what, two? Whatever.
I think more than one.
No, you can have two, I think you can have two, you can have three.
You guys are worried about, have you seen what USA's been doing with our money? You're worried about a meeting?
All right, is there any other, oh yeah, you said you had two things.
So do you want me to remind you guys about the minutes next time?
I mean, I went through a bunch, so, but if you guys have it, we can push it.
I
Can
mean, it's
you,
up to you,
no, can you send us three or
Actually-
four?
at a time.
I only started coming back, what, January?
Yeah, it's,
December?
you know, we have
It's
a
not
problem
me,
with those
you guys.
too,
No,
cause we,
I mean, my experience with planning board, Tom and Jim would say yes, and if Lucas wasn't there, he'd just abstain.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So we did three the last time, didn't we?
no, I think we pushed it again. I went through a bunch and then I don't think you had done it, so we pushed it and then we missed a meeting and
I thought we approved.
next meeting, we were gonna do all of 24, correct?
I do have,
Yeah, cause
24.
I had gotten through 24.
Okay, can you, okay.
I can
so-
resend it to you guys
Yeah.
and then remind you.
Yes,
Or if you wanna have like three, just,
we can do a bunch.
Yeah, do a bunch. I'm gonna have to
Do
look
all
at
of
my notes
24.
anyway,
Okay.
so. I mean,
But send them a few days or the week before.
so something with the agenda?
You can, sure, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that's
say
fine.
please review these
We'll go by your command,
ASAP.
as we do have to get them done, and what I suggested to Brian a while ago is even go from the decisions and take the meat of the decision and put it in, that's what happened at the meeting. If there's something extra that he remembers, we can add that in, but it's mostly reflected in the decisions. So,
Yeah, it was, and that's what he had done.
Yeah.
I looked at all 24. It was fine with me, so just take a look at it if you want to take.
I will do that next time,
And then we'll,
let's do all of 24 next time.
Okay.
April 2.
Great.
Thanks.
Any new business for April 2?
Oh, yeah.
I did not see any new applications in for ZBA.
We wouldn't be able to advertise at this point anyway.
Yeah.
Cause that's
Too
still
early.
3 weeks.
yeah,
So
fortunately.
some might come in for the next
May,
meeting,
but
but
not April.
not April. So good, we'll get these out of the way. I don't know that the 40B is gonna be written up in the next 3 weeks, because D'Agostino didn't even know about him doing it. It was I'm surprised we didn't mention it back in January, but he did it that way last time. He had whoever he had working with him there, drew up the draft.
There
So-
is one more thing.
But I do have to ask Emily about,
The other one, yes, please.
yeah,
Oh, no, that one is,
I
what a great letter he put together with all that killing.
well, I agree.
But in my opinion, you didn't act fast enough.
I'm with you on that.
Well, let's hold off on,
I might have another one upstairs, but there are two, payments for grades, yes.
oh,
If there isn't a second one, I know I made a few
oh,
copies.
great. I was thinking Frank Gallagher. Graves is our peer review, of course.
I get it.
Okay, so
So it might just be
3 copies.
3 copies of one.
this is 3 copies.
Okay, so upstairs I have a second one, but
We can do
it
this.
does also say the past due, so if you guys wanted to review it, you know the price as well.
I'm not gonna call
But after the meeting, I can come down and just give you it, you can sign it real quick and then, you know.
You mean the other one? We have to present it though. You want to get it now?
I'm gonna get it now.
Okay.
We're gonna need that for bronchitis.
Oh, really?
And now it's back. Now it's back. I'm like, dude, I can't.
So this is one Graves, so he's going to get a second one. Perfect.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Unless my name's on it. It's actually my name.
Yeah.
So works been good, huh?
What a difference in,
Respect.
The difference, what?
The new administration.
Yeah, new administration.
Police force, every cop and everyone I talk to the happiest they've ever been.
Why? Are you getting more assignments?
Gain more respect. I met
You always got respect for me.
It's literally this all day long.
let me see.
I have no issue.
Oh, yeah.
It's this all day long.
You know,
But isn't it, so I know a couple board guys and I know a couple stadies. Which funny is the state can't help you guys, but.
Yeah, they can't.
Because of our beautiful governor.
We tried to brief at the BPD and the BPD wouldn't even let us in.
Yeah, I know, it's absolutely crazy.
Terrible.
But I know a few guys and they're like, your face would drop to the floor if you knew who we were arresting and what backgrounds they came over here with. You're like, the rapes, the this, they go, you can't even, like,
so you
and
are.
he goes, these people are living like in Rainham. These people are like he goes, your friend could be living next to this guy in a triple decker. And this guy raped like 5 girls back in their own country, like crazy stuff. It's crazy.
So you are doing work with ICE then? I thought last time you said
Well,
no.
because he's
Oh,
not a
yeah, I
Massachusetts
know.
employee.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Wait till next week.
so you go out with them.
Oh, the meeting's still open.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can hear except for
Yeah.
the website.
Tomorrow, I'll be with you.
Oh.
Really?
And the second one for
It's home.
456.
Okay. Here's another bill for Graves Engineering, our peer review for $456.50. What do you need from us? Do you need a motion or signature or something?
I think
I'm
you
set
sign
to
it, right?
sign.
Yeah,
We'll approve.
So these are approved by consent. Just need one signed. That's one. And we looked at this one as well.
You're working again.
321.
yeah, I put the wrong date. That was the Friday. I was
Okay,
supposed to put on Thursday.
it's a, I've updated it, that's fine. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Brian, you
Yeah.
gotta hire somebody. Meeting is adjourned at 8:43. Thank you for your assistance.